guys, it's Shelly here. Welcome to my channel and thank you for joining me today. On today's video, we're going to carry on with our colour along in Eriy's Romantic Country, The Fair Tale. And some of you did mention that you haven't got your hands on this book and that it's out of print. However, I did notice it on Amazon Japan, and I think I noticed it on Amazon.com as well. So if you ever want to get your hands on this book, it's still out there, guys. So yeah, just to let you know. But so far, all we've done on this colour along is the post box, and I absolutely love the colour combination I've gone for. I'm glad I didn't go for red. It would have been so natural for me to go for red, so I'm glad I've tried something different. And now I want to start working on the Christmas tree, I think. So yeah, we're going to get started with that. I'm going to zoom you guys in and get going. Okay, so I've tried to pull together some colors that are a little bit different for me, but I've got a tiny little earth green here, but I thought it'll go with the cool tones that I'm trying to create on this page. So usually I'd use like earth green yellowish and chrome oxide greens and the olive green yellow, and I love those greens for my trees and leaves. But on this page, I thought I need to create a little bit of a cooler effect. Sorry for my voice, it's early in the morning. I'm finding it really, really hard to find the right time to record these colour alongs, chatty colour alongs. And so, yeah, you'll have to excuse my voice today. So I'm going in with the earth green first, just laying it down. I think I may need to start thinking about a little bit of where the light would be coming from. And usually I tend to do it coming from the top left. So not usually straight down. I usually do it from the top left or the top right. So I think I'll just go for it from the top left. No reason other than maybe there's a window here. Maybe the light is coming from that particular side. I wouldn't expect this side of my tree to be the brightest. I think I would just naturally, I see that side of my tree lighter than this side. So just keep that in mind. We'll see how we incorporate it, okay? So as I always do, I go in from the dark, my shadow areas into my highlight areas. I'm starting this time with my lightest shade, and the reason I'm doing that is because of the color I'm trying to go with. I think it's a new combination for me, and so yeah, I think I find it safer going in first with my light and then working up to my dark colors. So if we're having light coming from this side, top left, there'll be a shadow created by the bauble. And so I'm working from my shadow into a sort of highlight area. It'll be more apparent when I use my darker shades of green, okay? And these little areas right here will be under the shadow. So under the squiggles that Eriy has created for the texture of the tree is going to be in shadow, all right? Now I'm going to show a portion of the tree, and then I'll do it off camera so that it doesn't take too long, because it'll be pretty much the same thing all the way through. All right. I've gone very, very light at the moment, just laying down the color. I don't know if I'm going to use water to activate yet, so that's why I've gone in quite neatly. Okay. All right. Then the next color I was thinking is deep cobalt green. So it sort of has a blue hint to it. Now I'm thinking this star on the tree is going to create a bit of a shadow. I said that the light will be hitting there, so I need to keep that area lighter. So this area will sort of be in shadow. All right. I'm going very light still, because there will be a few layers I'll be putting down, and especially if I'm not going to activate that I'm not going to be creating that roughness to the paper that I had mentioned that we sometimes get with activating pencils or using water media. Creating a shadow under this little squiggle of tree. I'm going again from my shadow areas into my highlight areas. Okay, so we said the light is coming from this side, so there'll be a shadow created by the bauble on this side. I'm not going to use much of this deep cobalt green on this side of the bauble because I'm trying to create that shadow on this side, okay? Like I always say, it's always easier to add color than to remove color. So when you're going in with your dark shades, you can always try and first lay it out exactly where you know it will work first. So again, on this side of the bauble, and then if you need to add it on the other side, you can always do that later. So once you start adding your darker and darker shades of pencils, then you'll be able to see whether you need to add more medium tones, for example, on a certain part of your element. Yeah, just going to add a little bit here. All right, there we go. I'm just thinking whether I want to activate, you know, sometimes with the pencils, it obviously changes the color a little bit or makes it a little bit brighter when you activate it, but I'm thinking I might actually activate the pencils. I'm just going to add a little bit more earth green because these are watercolor pencils. So unlike ink tents, Derwent ink tents, when you add the water to your pencils, when you activate them, they really intensify, they get really bright. Whereas with watercolor pencils, it can dilute the color. It's like watercolor paints. The more water you add to the pigment, the more the lighter the color is. So it's similar with the pencil. So sometimes it does look like you've reduced the intensity of the color when you add water, and that's a lot of the times why I build up the color then. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to activate it. It will help with the blending process. So I've got my little paper towel, some water on the side. I always keep my water and my brush ready on the side when I'm using my Albrecht Dürers because, yeah, I quite often like to activate. And I'm going from my light areas into the dark areas always, so you can maintain your highlight areas. Yeah, so I'm finding it really hard to find the time to get a quiet moment and enough time to sit down and do a chatty color along, but hopefully you guys are enjoying it compared to my regular color alongs. So today I had to wake up quite early. It's my day off work. However, I have woken up at 5 o'clock to try and get in a little bit of this coloring time so that I can, you know, make sure I get this page done in time for Christmas. No, hopefully it'll be done way earlier than then. But today I have to go into my son's school. He's got his nativity play for Christmas, and he's playing Joseph. So it's quite a big part. He's only a little boy. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Last year, so he's 3.5 now. So last year they had the nativity play at Christmas time. I don't think he was feeling too well, and he was the only child on the, you know, on stage that just burst into tears. I think it was just overwhelming for him. I'm just waiting for that to dry. I think I'm going to use the same colors for the leaves. I think so. Yeah, because I'm not going to add too many different colors. So let me just do a few leaves as well. See that I'm in shot, so I can make sure I'm doing the leaves that are in shot. So I'll just do a few leaves here to show you how I'm going to do it. Okay, so I'm going in again with my earth green. Yeah, so last year he was the only one that sort of, I think he just got overwhelmed, and he was in tears on stage, and I felt so helpless. I think he was unwell that particular day. We didn't realize until later, once we got him home. Hopefully it's not stage fright, because the last couple of days he's been a bit under the weather as well. But he seems so excited about the play. So hopefully this year he'll be able to hold it together despite the crowd, especially because he's playing a little bit more of an important role than he had to last year. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'll let you guys know. As long as he doesn't run off stage or anything, hopefully it'll be fine. Okay, deep cobalt green, doing exactly the same thing as that side. Shadow areas into the highlight areas, okay? So the shadow areas would be where, just under where a leaf is overlapping another leaf, yeah? So something like that, sort of there. Or where a berry is overlapping a leaf. To help it, it's not just with regards to a shadow, but it also helps it make the illustration look 3D. So it'll help when we come to intensify the colors on the leaves, and when we come to color our berries, the little tiny berries there, hopefully it'll look like the berries are sort of popping out and not just flat on the page. Yeah, I love playing with colors to make things look 3D. Really enjoy that effect. So yeah, I do spend time doing the shadows and highlights and try and see if I'm able to make something look a bit more 3D. Okay, and again, we can, it's such a small element, I don't know if we really need to activate that, but yeah, let's just do it since I've done it on that side, yeah? So I'm just going to go in from my highlight area to my dark tone. I'm sure I've asked this before, but what time of the day do you guys like to color? I absolutely love coloring first thing in the morning. It's such a nice way to start the day with a nice hot cup of tea. Everything in the house is so quiet. Everything outside is so quiet. You know that everyone around you is asleep, and it's just so peaceful first thing in the morning. I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's very hard on a day of work to do it and then motivate yourself to actually leave the house and go to work. But yeah, I really enjoy coloring first thing in the morning. So this is pretty dry, so I think I'm just going to go in now. Yeah, with my deep cobalt green. Sorry, I'm thinking, because obviously it's a different color combination for me. Usually I find it very easy to do trees and leaves and very relaxing. And I'm just thinking how to lay down the colors. So yeah, I'm still light-handed because I'm going to be coming in with lots of colors. So this area, we need to keep it light because it's overlapping that area. So we want to sort of help create that sort of 3D effect. You can already see, compared to like the earth green, yellowish, if you're familiar with the polychromas or Albrecht Dürers, this is quite a cooler, these colors are quite cool, quite a lot cooler than those particular yellowy greens. I'm thinking I'll be, because this is outdoory, isn't it? It looks like it's an outdoor scene, rather than indoors. So I think I'm picturing snow falling and settling down and everything. So hopefully I will be doing quite a bit of white paint pen work at the end to create that effect. Maybe snow settled on the tree, hanging off the edges of the overhangs of the tree. All right, shadow areas again. You can already see just with these two colors, the earth green is very light, and obviously the deep cobalt green is quite a lot darker, but you can already see sort of the 3D effect coming into play, isn't it? With the little overhangs. All right, then I'm going in with, I think, with my pine green. Now this is just to tone down in the shadow areas a little bit of the bluish tint to the deep cobalt green, and just to give it a bit of interest, because I'm going to go in with still a darker shade, or well, I'm not going to go in with the darker shade of green. I'm going to go in with my dark indigo, which will again be a little bit obviously blue, but this slightly more yellowy green or warmer green is going to just give it a little bit of interest, I think. So that's why I decided to bring it in. But I don't want too much of this yellowy green to show through. So I'm trying to limit it as much as possible to the areas where I think will be the darkest. Yeah. And even though I don't want to use too many of the yellowy greens, I have got my earth green yellowish on the side ready in case I decide to use hints of it later. Again, I think I'll, like on the last, on part 1, I sort of put in the description box below the colors I had used on that particular video. So I'll do the same. So at least if you are following along, it might help you just prep and just get those colors out ready to go. So we'll see how that works. Very different layout of color along for me at the moment, but there we go. All right, then, yeah, now I'm going to go in with my dark indigo. I love my dark indigo, as I mentioned last time. Oh, and a lot of people ask me about my pencils, how I get them so sharp. So I do use an electric sharpener when the pencils are quite long, like the dark indigo. And with regards to the Albrecht Dürers, I'm not sure about the polychroma, sorry, I'm just going to show it to you guys. And up until this particular symbol, it is possible to, excuse my nail, I broke it, I'll tell you how in a minute, but so yeah, until that particular point there, you can use the electric sharpener, but then once it reaches that point, it's too short to put in the electric sharpener. Recently, I used to use the comb sharpener, but recently I got this one, the Stedler. Looks like a comb sharpener, simple one, and it does such a nice job at sharpening so far, touch wood. I always have trouble finding good sharpeners, so that one's really nice actually. I do use the Dahl 133, but I think that handheld sharpener right now is a favorite for me. So yeah, just to let you know, because a lot of people ask me about what sharpener I use for the Albrecht Dürers and their pencils break. The pencils shouldn't break. Like, I barely get any breakages these days. yes, when I first started coloring and I first started using my Albrecht Dürers, I used to have a lot of breakages, and it was so devastating because it's just such a waste, isn't it, when your pencils break when you're sharpening it. So it's definitely good to invest in some good sharpeners. Now, Albrecht Dürers are a little bit wider, so certain sharpeners may not work that great. But yeah, I would recommend an electric sharpener just to save you time and effort to begin with. And then when the pencil gets too short, if you don't want to get the dial 133, again, the dial 133, it only sharpens to a certain point again. And then you need you need a handheld sharpener, because then it doesn't go into a dial 133 either. So you may as well get a handheld sharpener rather than the dial. So I would recommend an electric sharpener, and then the handheld Staedtler one is really good, or it's working for me really well right now. So the dark indigo, I'm just basically putting it into the shadow areas. Now I'm working on trying to intensify my shadows and create the lovely 3D effect that I like to get. So around the baubles. I am going to darken up the areas that I've left as highlight are going to get a bit darker as well. But I like to maintain it, like I always say, until I'm ready to darken it up, you know. Having sharp pencils helps a lot, blending, because it gets into the tooth of the paper a lot easier. You're not having to put as much effort or as much pressure to blend things together. So you can use a lighter touch when you're coloring, and especially when you're using layers. If you're doing layering, it helps just to have sharp pencils, definitely. Because you don't want to end up losing the tooth of the paper too quickly if you still have more layers to add. Okay, I think that's fine. You can see that 3D effect, hopefully. All right, then I'm going in with a slightly darker, or a shadow color, and that is the cold gray 6, and literally just to deepen up the shadows. So now you can press a little bit harder in just those shadow areas. Not yet in the areas of highlight for me, because like I said, I'm still going to add some color there. Yeah, I think this color of green is quite nice, actually. It works with the idea I have in my mind for cool tones for winter. See, as you deepen up the shadow, it makes it even more 3D. Hopefully you see that, like that overhang to me when I added the gray just popped. Yeah, so I broke, sorry guys, that was my alarm. I think it stopped recording, hopefully just at that point rather than earlier. So hopefully I've been recording all this time. What was I saying? Yeah, my nails were quite long and I accidentally broke that one. Do you know what I was doing? I was trying to squeeze in some more books into my bookshelf, more coloring books, I should specify, into my coloring bookshelf. And yeah, it was quite a tight fit for the books, and it snapped my nail very badly. And so it's probably a sign to say nothing else can fit in that bookshelf. I should stop getting more books, but we're going to just ignore that sign. But yeah, so you guys will see this horrible nail. I don't wear fake nails. I've never worn fake nails in my life. So yeah, don't expect me to put some fake nails or anything. So you guys will have to see that horrible nail for a little while until it grows out. All right, so I like how the shadows have come through. Now I'm just trying to see what colors I want to sort of add to fill up my highlight areas. I think I'm going to add a little bit of my pine green, was it? Yeah, pine green. Again, light-handed. And then I think I'm going to go over with my deep cobalt green so that we don't lose that cool effect that we have. Right, there we go. And now the deep cobalt green. You can see why it takes me so long, right, to color. You guys are probably thinking, what's the point of just layering and layering? Just sort of lay down your green and get on with it. But yeah, I love seeing my pages come to life like this. So yeah, I do enjoy it. So now I'm just going over with my deep cobalt green, going into the highlight areas a little bit more light-handed, but just taking off that slight warm tone of the pine green, but we still have it sort of peeking through. So it gives a bit more interest than just a flat deep cobalt green. So hopefully you guys see that. And I'm not just doing pointless coloring and just adding to my how long it takes me to color. Now, because we've darkened up that area, I think it's okay to add a little bit of the deep cobalt green here, very light-handed. It's not really to create a shadow, but just to fill in. We don't want it too much of a highlight. So there, it still looks like it's creating a shadow on this side. Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same thing here. All right, and then I'm just going to go in with my earth green to finish it off, I think. I like the little hints of the pine green. It sort of does just give a little bit of interest. Hopefully it shows through. It's really hard sometimes to get the lighting right on camera when you're recording. And I think you guys will probably notice that when I take my screenshots so that you can see where we've reached with the color laydown. I always do that like throughout my color alongs, just, you know, every now and then sort of add a screenshot and you'll see that it's so much brighter. Or you just don't see the colors, like the colors seem to be so washed out when I'm doing my color along. So I apologize for that, but I just can't seem to get it right. And obviously if I'm going to record at 5 in the morning, there's no daylight, not in winter. Okay, so I'm going in with my earth green now, just to fill in and smooth out the transition into the highlight areas. People probably wonder why I do the base of watercolor first, so activate it and then go over with so many layers. It's simply because I like a pencil finish. If you like the watercolor effect finish, then you do not need to do all these layers. You just lay down the colors. You can take it off the palette to just intensify the colors with a brush to give you your watercolor effect. But I love the pencil effect, which is why I still go over with my pencils. Yeah, I like that. What do you guys think? It's quite nice. At least it's not too yellowy. I'm just wondering, because we've added the pine green, it does give a bit of a yellow effect, but I feel like if I add a little bit of earth green, it'll just give a bit more interest, lift the color a bit. So I think I'm just going to add little hints just randomly here and there, sort of in the transition between my earth green and the deep cobalt green that we'd laid down, just to give it a bit of interest. And because I love this color, there we go. I think it's nice. Yeah, just with hints. There we go. So not too much, but just to give it a bit of interest. Yeah, I like that. All right, and maybe a little bit of ivory. Brighten up the most highlighted areas, smooth it out. I do my paint pen work right at the end and embellishments, as you guys know. So I may come in with paint pens. Well, I know I'm going to come in with a white paint pen for the snow, but I may come in with other paint pens as well. But we'll see, sort of to cover up, even though the line art for Eriy is not very dark, it's not very black line art, I will still probably come in and add in certain areas a little bit of paint pen to cover up the line art and to just sort of help with the highlight areas. All right, so that's how I'm going to do the rest of the tree, and just make sure I work with where the shadows are. And so let me show you the leaves. This will have to keep a bit simpler because there's not as much of an area to work with for shading. So going in with my deep cobalt green from my shadow areas into the highlight areas. And because this will be quite repetitive, even the tree and the leaves, I'm going to do it off camera to finish it off, and then I'll show you the screenshot as always, and then we can work on a different element. Hopefully you can't hear the noise in the background. People are starting to wake up. Soon I'm gonna have to, I guess it's good timing. Once I finish off the leaves, soon I'll have to go and wake my son up, get him ready for his play. All right, pine gray, psych him up. Get him excited, hopefully. He'll be okay. So yeah, it's like I've said, November was quite busy. Even December is going to be quite busy. Just with, first of all, I was away for a couple of weeks, but with work as well. Work seems to usually be quite busy in the lead up to Christmas. Obviously, everyone wants to get in to see the dentist before we close for Christmas, just in case they have a toothache during Christmas, which is fair enough. So usually I find my books are quite busy as in the lead up to Christmas. So yeah, it's been quite exhausting, meaning I just come home so knackered, can't really color in the evenings. And even the next day, it takes me a while to inspire myself to color when I'm so tired. But then along with that, we've been trying to look for, do viewings for my son's school. He's going to be turning 4 in January. So it's time to look for his reception, they say, in year 1, year 2 school. So yeah, so we've been doing viewings for that and applying for that. As you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, I'd mentioned I was doing some course for my profession a while back. I've signed up to another 6-month course, so it's just like I just keep adding to my very, very, very busy schedule already. But yeah, it's, and then obviously with Christmas coming, it's busy. So yeah, it's been quite a busy last November, December, and I feel like even January will be fairly busy with my son's birthday and things like that. So time is just flying. This is earth green, so just into the highlight areas. I still have to deepen up my shadow areas with the dark indigo and the paint and the cold gray 6. So yeah, that's why I've been struggling to get too many pages done, struggling to do longer videos like color alongs, as you guys can see how long it takes me. But yeah, hopefully things will quiet down at some point. Did I use the dark indigo? I feel like I did, so we're going in with the cold grey 6. So this will give you guys an idea of how I'm doing the leaves, and then all of the leaves I'll do the same way, yeah? Just work from your shadows into your highlight areas. You can add a little bit randomly on some leaves, maybe a bit of the earth green yellowish if you like it as much as I do. Most of my leaves have this color, so I find it really hard not to use it. I think it looks nice with hints of that though. And then we have our ivory, just to smooth out that little highlight area. Okay, so the leaves are pretty straightforward, yeah? What do you guys think? I think that looks quite nice. I think those greens work really well with the blue. It's not too bright yellow greens, so that's quite nice. Yeah, okay guys, so I think that's going to work. So I'll go off camera and I'm going to finish off, well, not straight away. I need to go wake my son up. But at some point I will be finishing off the tree and the rest of the leaves, and I'll be back with you, so don't go anywhere. I'll be coming back. Okay, be right back for you guys. 1 second. Okay guys, so that's the tree done and the leaves done. I might bring in a little bit more of this green somewhere else on the page. I'm not sure where yet, because I feel like, yeah, we need to distribute it a little bit more, or at least one other area on the page. But I think I need to fill up the page a little bit more to know where that green is going to be. Now, you guys may have noticed I do tend to jump around on elements on the page, and that's because depending on what inspires me to be colored first, or what ideas I get first with regards to the colors for a certain element, that's what I go ahead and color. And a lot of people actually ask me this because they think, you know, some people do tend to color in order, so maybe from the top to the bottom, or left to the right, or for left-handers, right to the left. I don't do that. I just find an element that I'm very inspired to color as the first element. If there's a background, I usually tend to do the background first, and then I start working on the other elements. But then while I'm coloring, I get ideas for other elements on the page, and I will go and color that particular element. So the next thing I want to color is the bricks. All right, so I'm going to zoom you guys in and we'll get started on the bricks. All right, so I was a little bit confused about what color to do the bricks, whether to do them gray, whether to do them, you know, brownish or red. I always tend to go for gray brickwork, but I don't think a reddish stonework would work. Maybe it would, because it is a Christmassy page, so it would actually work. But for the colors I was trying to go for this page, I didn't want so much red and green on that particular page. I wanted it to be a little bit different. And so I decided not to go for red bricks. I'm going for gray, but I'm going for, this is the wrong gray I need. Okay, sorry. I'm going for sort of warm grays, but I'm going to add a little bit of brown, and we'll see how it works. I'm not so sure how it's going to work yet. I don't have a perfect idea yet, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm going in with the warm gray 2. Again, I don't think I've used this combination for bricks before. I've just sort of thought of it now. I was just playing around with some colors, thinking, okay, what kind of bricks do I want to do? So let's see how it goes. So this warm gray 2 is sort of like a base. Let's do just those few first to see what the colors look like. Then I'm going in with Nougat. And usually I'm quite random with my bricks in that I'll put the shadows in different areas. So for example, on this particular brick, I'm going to put in the shadow right here. So I'm working from my shadow into my highlight area, okay? Then on this particular brick, let us do the shadow from the top. We're going to do it like this, sort of like a corner. And I'm going to do a shadow here. Just literally just random, just to give a bit more interest to the bricks rather than just have them as straight bricks. And then this one I'm just going to go from the top down, and because it's behind the post box, I'm going to put a bit of a shadow here. All right, let's see how that works first. Yeah, I'm quite light-handed. Then I'm going in with the Capuut mortum and working over the Nougat to darken up the shadow sort of areas, or areas I want to have sort of the darkest. Hopefully this works for this kind of brickwork. Okay, that was Capuut mortum. And then I'm going to use a little bit of Nougat again, I think, first. I don't actually know what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just testing it out, which is why I'm probably not speaking much. And then I'm going to go in with a warm grey 1 to tone down the browniness. I wanted that little hint of brown, but I don't want it to be very brown. So just going over the browns with a little bit more pressure now. Just sort of to blend it all with the warm grey 1. Not liking the bricks yet. All right, so I'm going to go in with a very dark warm grey, so warm grey 6, definitely into the shadow here. And there. Sorry, I'm just seeing how this first works out because I'm not yet sure what I'm doing. Okay, and sometimes it is like that. All right, I don't want it to look like perfect bricks, and I think that's what it's going to sort of turn out looking like if I don't do it like so random. So I'm going in, I'm just playing around here, guys. Okay, this is what I do when I color. Sometimes don't know how to color everything, figure it out as I go, see what I like, what kind of a look I like. I'm just going over, sort of blending everything with my warm grey 2, and then I'm going to go back in with the warm grey 6 because just where the junction of the bricks are, I feel like that needs to be darkened up, and I'm sort of rounding off the corners because like I said, I feel like I didn't want it to be perfect, at least basically perfect bricks, perfectly straight. So I feel like maybe that looks nicer. I'm not sure. Hopefully makes it look like separate bricks. Yeah, I think that's going to work. What about the color? Just having a look, see what you guys can see. Yeah, I think that works. What do you guys think? Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that. Well, I don't really have much of a choice now that I've done a few bricks. So let's do that again. So I started with my warm grey 2. I don't think I mind the color of the bricks. It's just sort of the junction that I'm thinking about still. So warm grey 2. This time I'm just gonna go from the top. You can actually lay this down all over, like a base. All right, I'm going to work on that bit again first. Warm grey 2, then we go in with our Nougat. So for here, so now with my Nougat is where I start trying to figure out what kind of pattern I want on my brick, or where I want the shadows. So I'm going to do this one from the top, and maybe just like that. And that's it. And we'll see how that looks. Again, we can always add color. And here I'm just going to put in, there's not much brick there. And here as well, we'll just do it from the shadow being just behind the leg of this toy soldier. Let's do this like a little corner. All right. Capuut mortum. Shadow on this particular brick was from the top. I'm not going over, I don't want to go over all of the Nougat. I want some of the Nougat to show through. So if I lose all of that Nougat, because I've left quite a bit of a highlight, I can add it in. I can sort of go back over and add it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back with my Nougat. Just go over and go into the highlight a little bit. I'm going to add a bit of a corner here as well with my Nougat only. I'm not going to go in with my dark shades there. Okay. Warm grey 1, was it? To blend everything, I think it was. Before I go in with my darkest shade. Okay. And then my warm grey 6, which changes it up a bit actually, if you have a look at it. If you compare these ones to the top, the warm grey 6 actually just takes away that bit of redness that we have from the Capuut mortum. No, we said we're not going to put the shadow colors there. There we go. Okay. And then the junctions, we can just follow the line art. You can sort of round it off a little bit. All right. What do we think? Hopefully you can see that nicely. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's okay. I think the color works. Definitely the color works. And it just gives a bit of interest, don't you think, if we do the patterns differently rather than just a solid, straight, lined brick wall. Okay, I like that. So what I'll do is maybe I can do the rest of this. Oh, let me do the top and the bottom. So, sorry, I'm going in with my warm grey 2 because it's just a straight line rather than bricks on the top and the bottom. We want to put the shadows behind the objects that we can see because we of course want it to look like 3D again. We want it to look like the post boxes in front of the wall, the soldier is in front of the wall. So the areas closest to certain elements that should be in the forefront, make those the shadow areas. So I'm just laying down the warm grey 2. And up here. I'm just thinking, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking about other elements. So I'm thinking about what the back wall is going to be like. I don't want it to be too different to the brick wall we're doing. So I'm trying to think of color combinations that might work with some of the colors I have here. So I'm working with the Nougat from the areas, like I said, that will be the darkest, to try and basically exaggerate the 3D sort of effect. All right. I don't know why, but when something is going off the page, whether it's on the other side of the page or into the spine, I tend to prefer doing it a little bit darker. No reason why. I just find it a bit strange if the highlight areas are sort of going into the spine or off the page. All right, Capuut mortum. Shadow areas or areas we want to be dark. All right, and then we go in with a little bit of the Nougat again, just a tiny bit. Because I'm doing such light layers is why I'm going back and forth with colors as well. It's basically layering it up, right? All right, and then warm grey 1. To tone down, laying down a grey over colors, basically just not mutes it. It basically, would that be the right word? It just reduces the intensity of that color. So like putting it over like the Capuut mortum is just reducing the intensity of the brownness, so just toning it down a bit. So that's what I do when I want to just reduce a bit of the brightness of a color. So that was warm grey 1, and now we go in with our darkest. Hopefully this works. Very light-handed. Yeah, it does make it look like the post box is in front, right? Or the wall basically is behind. I don't want to bring it out too much, just give that little idea of a shadow. Because for example, the soldier is not immediately in front of the wall. In my mind, it is probably further forward. Same thing with the post box. In my mind, the post box is further forward than the soldier, and the tree, which you can't see, you're probably off screen, is further back than the soldier. So if we go from the back, we have the wall, then we have the tree, and then we have the soldier, and then we have the toy box. And when we're doing our shadows and highlights, I know it sounds a bit complicated, but if you enjoy doing shadows and highlights and creating 3D effects, once you start doing it, it sort of makes more sense, and it'll come more naturally to you. But if the soldier was right up against the wall, I would want to deepen up my shadows more, because it would be casting more of a shadow on the wall, if it makes sense. But if it's not right up against the wall and it's further forward, it's not actually going to be casting a shadow. But we still want to put a bit of darkness to sort of give that idea that it is in front of the wall and the wall is behind the soldier. Hopefully that made sense. In my mind, it sort of does, but I'm not very good at explaining it. Okay, so there we go. I think that works. What do you guys think? I think that's a nice color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rest of the bricks on this side. If I can zoom out a little bit without disturbing you guys. And on this side, there's a very small amount there. So I think let's do that, and I'll be back with you and we can try and figure out what else we can do on the page. All right, so I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay guys, so that's the stonework done, and I think I probably am going to use the same color for the wall, but I don't want the whole wall to be that one color. So what I'm going to do is these little bits here, and also I'm going to assume they're sort of windows. We'll see what to do with them. So I'm not going to put the same color in these segments, but everywhere outside these little, I'm going to say like little frames, I don't know, maybe I'll do them the metal color, not sure yet. So basically everything between these little thin lines or borders and outside these little sections, I'm going to do the same as the stone wall. All right, so I'm going to get hopefully you guys can see that, my warm grey 2, and I'm going to start maybe here. It'll be the easiest to show you guys. So basically how we did the bricks, the same colors. I'm going to do the shadow area obviously behind all these elements, should be a bit darker to make it look like it's behind, the wall is behind the soldier and the post box. And then I'm also going to make it like as if these sort of borders are going to create a little bit of a shadow. So hopefully this color works, especially for such a large element such as the wall at the back. I like how the brick wall looks. I'm not so sure about the color for the wall, but we'll know soon enough. Either way, once I do this little bit, that's it. There's no going back. You probably can't see this color much, and I'm using quite a light hand. All right, and then we go in with our Nougat. Starting from the area that will be in shadow. I actually like the colour for this brick wall. So I should make sure I save the colour combination, although I'm not 100% sure how it's going to look for the wall. I'm not sure. I think it works for this page, at least the brick wall part. We'll see how it works for the wall, but I think I really like it as a brick colour, so I'm going to have to save it. I'm going to need to change up my brick colours because I tend to just use like a sort of warm greys most often, and just with hints of like green or something like that in it, but usually it's greys. Very rarely I've tried red, and now at least I have this sort of a brownish shade. Okay, so that was the Nougat. Go in with the Capuut mortum. From the shadow area, we don't want to cover up all the Nougat. I don't want the wall to be too dark, so I'm going to have to try and control bringing in my darker shades all the way up into the highlight area. So I'm just going to limit it there. We'll do the top bit. Hopefully I'm in shot here. I have a very simple layout, so I can't see what you guys can see on screen. I just have to hope that I'm in shot all the time. By the way, this is many hours later, still the same day, so that's good. Didn't drag it on to another day yet, but yeah, it's a good few hours later. I went to see my sons play. It was quite cute. There were a lot of children who did end up yeah, crying and wanting their parents when they saw the parents in the audience, or you know, in the crowd, things like that. Fortunately, my son didn't have a breakdown, so he did a very good job being Joseph. He was smiling and just kept waving at us, which was funny. But yeah, I'm really proud of him. I'm proud that he managed it. He did his lines, he did his singing. So yeah, it was quite cute, and I'm so glad that it turned out a bit better than last year. So yeah, really proud of him. Till today, I probably find it quite hard to stand in front of a large crowd and, you know, speak or act or things like that. I know it's very simple play at this age, but still, it's a lot to ask a 4-year-old, almost 4-year-old. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with all the kids actually going up there in front of everyone. And at this age, they are sort of understanding what's going on. They're understanding, so it is it can be quite nerve-wracking for them. All right, that was Nougat. I just went over the Capuut mortum a little bit and just brought out the Nougat a bit more. And now, do I remember this correctly? The warm grey one. Just tone down the reddish tone of the Capuut mortum. And you can go over sort of your highlight area, because this is your lightest shade. Yeah, and then I'm really hoping this works, guys. Then I go in with my warm grey 6 just to deepen up some of the shadows. So definitely here. I'm quite light-handed with this because it's a very dark color. So I feel like it's better just to be light-handed and go over a few times until you've got the color you want. And I'm going to do the same here. Going over a few times again because I'm quite light-handed. You can go in straight hard if you want, but I feel like I have more control over the color if I go light. Basically, I know when to stop then. Again, very lightly, sort of doing a shadow on the sides of these little borders because I want them to look 3D, sort of pop out the page. I want them to look like they're sort of protruding out of the wall rather than flat with the wall. I don't think that's too bad. I think I'm just going to go over with my warm grey too, just so it's not too light in some areas. So I'm pressing a little bit harder now, blending things. I want it to, yeah, be a little bit more of a smoother transition. And again, it tones down the brown, so you sort of have an undertone of browns, but the wall is grey. I think that will work. Yeah, I think that will be okay. Not bad. All right. So basically, that's what I'm going to do in between all of these little border lines that we have. I'm going to leave that bit blank, that bit blank. And around here, I want, again, whatever that ornament is, to pop off the page. So I'm going to create the shadows around it. So maybe I can do this portion as well. But maybe I'll do it to music and speed it up so that it doesn't take as long. So let me do that. I'm going to use exactly the same colors with the same idea of creating shadows on the borders and around the ornament so that the ornament looks like it's, you know, placed on the wall. So it's a 3D object. So yeah, exactly the same thing, but I'll put it to music just so you can see where I'm putting my shadows. All right, I'll be right back with you. guys, so that's how I'm going to do this bit with the ornament on the wall. And if you remember, when we were doing the tree, I said that the light would be coming from this side, which is why I have put the shadows sort of underneath rather than on top. So underneath this area, you see, and on this side of this particular part of the ornament. And when we come to doing this side, which I'll do off camera now, I'll just lay out where the shadows are going to be. So the light is coming and hitting here. So this area is going to be in highlight, but this area here is going to be in shadow. This is going to be in shadow. All right. And then the light is hitting on this side. So this will be in highlight. And then this time, this will be in the shadow. All right. So that will just help hopefully sort of give a 3D effect. I'm doing this very lightly, but hopefully you can sort of see where the shadows are going to be, yeah? But because the colors I'm using and the technique I'm using is exactly the same, I don't want to take too much of your time doing one element on the page. So again, the light was coming here, so that's why I've left that area in highlight. However, it will create a shadow on this side of the ornament. You see? It's coming from, like I said, from that side, so this part will be in shadow. Yeah, and then this part will be in shadow, but that part will be in highlight. You see? So that will help. So when we're doing the laying down our colors, we just remember that those are the particular areas that will be in shadow. Now, once I've finished coloring it, I will obviously put a screenshot so you will see, you can pause and see exactly where the shadows will be if you need it in a little bit more detail. All right, so hopefully that sort of gives you an idea which part of the ornament on this side will be in shadow. However, I'm going to color exactly the same. So I think I'm going to go off camera, finish off the wall because it'll take me a while. So literally do exactly the same thing I've done here between these two borders on this side of the page, over here and around these areas, okay? Right to the bottom here, till the wall, all right? And this bit here for the shield. So not too much to do, and we can come back and we'll see where we're at, all right? So I'll be right back, just a second for you guys. Okay guys, so that is the walls done, so the little brick wall as well as the back wall, and I think it sort of works. I hope it's not making the picture look a little bit dull or a little bit boring, but I think there's still so much color to come, and when we do the paint pen work, hopefully it'll work. I felt like a bright wall or any other color wall would just not work with the blue box, but I don't know. Let's see how things pan out. But while I was coloring the wall, I thought that for the floor I may use basically this pretty much the same colors. However, I want to try and make heaps of snow if I can. I thought that would look quite nice because like I said before, I want it to be a snowy scene. I want to show a little bit of snow settled here and there, and I'm probably going to use a bit of Winsor & Newton white ink to sprinkle around, and so I want to do a little bit of heaps of snow, and I should have thought about this before I colored the box, but I guess I can always use paint pen to sort of help me out at the end. So yeah, I'm going to zoom you guys into the floor now and we'll try and figure that out. Like I say, I'm not very good at drawing, but we'll see what I can do. All right, so I'm just going to zoom you in. So basically, I thought the heaps of snow would just basically break up the floor and just add a little bit more color or highlight to the page, because I feel like there's a lot of floor here, a lot of wall. Let's see. So basically, what I'm thinking is there'll be certain areas where snow would have settled. Obviously, people would have walked around. It's a footpath. But there are certain areas that there would be some undisturbed snow. Now, I'm not going to draw it the whole heap, but what I'm going to draw is the parts which are on the ground. So for example, I would say close to this soldier, there would probably be a little bit of a heap of snow. So I'll use paint pens to sort of create the heap, but on the floor is what I need to first do at the moment, or for now, because I'll come in with my paint pen work right at the end. So Hopefully you guys can see this. I'll try it out because I want to use the very light shade first. But if not, then I'll go in with maybe the Nougat. We'll be able to see that a bit better. So I'm just sort of marking out random shape of snow here. I probably can't even see that. All right, I'm going to go in with my Nougat. Sorry, guys. I wanted to keep it quite light because, yeah, just to avoid any mistakes. But let's go in with the Nougat. Gonna still keep it quite light, but hopefully you should see it a bit better. So basically that will be the snow bit, and I'll probably pile it up a little bit with a paint pen. But it'll make more sense once I start shading around it. Then maybe we can do a little bit of snow around this, yeah, around this little tree. I'm just literally doing it randomly, so hopefully it actually works. Let's go off the page there. Maybe we can have a little tiny heap, some snow maybe there. Can you see that a bit better? You can sort of see it. I can't go in dark because obviously it'll be hard to then cover it up. So hopefully you can see that, yeah? Maybe a... I'm thinking there'll be a little heap here, maybe. And then this is gonna, yeah, I'm gonna have to try and figure out. So this is like the pavements, and obviously there's a step down, so there'd be some snow that would have sort of dripped. Do you think I can pull that off? Maybe just something like that. That doesn't really look, that looks more like it's going to become a heap rather than... Let's see. All right. Again, I want to make it look like there's some snow sort of on the edge of the pavement and just sort of falling off, but I'm not so sure how to do that. Okay. Maybe some shouldn't go all the way down like that. Yeah, that's it. That would probably look better, isn't it? So, okay. Hopefully those look okay. Maybe I should just sort of, yeah, make little drips off. Okay, hopefully that makes a bit makes it look a little bit more like there's some snow there and it's just sort of falling off the pavement. We can do a little, yeah. All right, where else can we break up the little pavement? Maybe there can be a bit of snow here, just a tiny bit, because people would have sort of walked up to it, so some of it would be brushed off. a little bit maybe in the corner here. Tiny heat maybe, let's see. Maybe I should have done this off camera to rather than make you guys sit through my planning. But anyways, so some maybe can be behind there. Not many people would pass behind the post box, so we can do quite a big heap hopefully there, and it can be sort of piled up maybe. Okay, any more? I like the look of this one. Can you guys see that? Yeah, I like the look of this one. So how about I do another something similar to that. Okay, hopefully once we actually color the pavement itself and the snow, it will look a bit better and make more sense. Is that enough? I can put a little bit of snow here and a little bit on the edges, I think. I think that should be enough, hopefully. All right. Okay, good. So I think we can work with that, and then hopefully when we come in with paint pen work, it will look a lot better right at the end, but this should help. So what I'll do now is start coloring in the areas we haven't marked out where the snow is going to be. We'll do that, and then maybe I will come in and do a little bit of the snow. All right, so we start with our warm grey 2 again. Sorry, I'm just going to move this over a bit so you guys can see a bit better. All right, I didn't realize that was a little bit out of shot. Okay, I don't know if I've put too many heaps of snow, but let's see. It's okay. Let's go in with the warm grey 2. All right, so basically I'm using the same colors as I've used for the brick wall and the back wall, but I think I want to try and keep the floor, the pavement, a little bit lighter. So I should try basically to limit the darker shades that we've used for the wall to literally just the shadow areas. So maybe underneath the heaps of snow that we've sort of created, to make them look 3D, make them look like heaps of snow. Under like the post box, under the toy, the soldier, the little girls, things like that. So, and then the other areas I will try and maintain a lighter area if possible, as much as possible. So as always, basically I've been coloring from one of the snow heaps that we've drawn and from the post box, so from my shadow areas, as always, going into where I think will be my highlights. Okay, so there was a snow pile over here, so going from under the snow pile, you can barely see the warm grey 2 obviously compared to the Nougat, but I will be going in with the Nougat, so hopefully those obvious lines will disappear, but then we always have some paint pen, white paint pen, to cover it up if necessary. I just needed it to be seen on camera a little bit better, so otherwise I would have tried to stick to using just the warm grey 2, but it's okay. So under the soldier, we're going to have a shadow, so I'm going from that shadow into the highlight. Under the snow pile, yeah, we can put a little bit So this is going to be heap sitting on the top. So the light would, like I said, it always comes from the top of my page, even if it's coming at an angle. So it would hit there. So that area won't be in shadow, but we can add a little bit of our lighter tones that we're using for the floor on that area, but maybe not the darkest. And then under here, which is the pavement, we're gonna have to try to remember to make this look like it's a step down onto maybe the road or whatever is on this side. So under this line that Eriy has drawn, that's where the shadow is going to be, to make it look like it's away from the light that's hitting here. Yeah, so the light would be hitting like that onto this part of the pavement. So that will be in highlight. And then to create that sort of step effect, the dark shadow should be under that line, because it sort of turns away from the light. Yeah, even if it's closer to us on a page, it's turning away from where the light source would be. So that will sort of help hopefully make it look like a step down off the pavement. Shadow under this snow pile. So we go from the shadow to the highlight areas. Maybe I'll do half of it first, just sort of show the effects, and then I can do the other half off camera, so it doesn't take too long. So all of this, I think, would be the pavement. What do you guys think? Hopefully. All this bit that I've sort of drawn my snow pile on, I will try and use, I might actually use even Winsor & Newton white ink. I'll see what to do to cover up the black lines so that it looks like snow, because yeah, those couple of squares there, for example, are going to be behind the snow, so we don't want to see that line art to help with the snow effect. Yeah. All right, then this we're saying under these squares is going to be the road. So again, we need to create the shadow and the illusion that is sort of in a different direction to that step down. Hopefully this makes sense, and hopefully it works. Once I start adding the darker shades of pencils, it will hopefully be more obvious. But I'm still working basically from my shadow to the highlights. All right, there we go. So let's do it till there. Maybe I can do a little bit under this little girl as well, just so you can see. So I'd put a shadow, there would be a shadow under her shoes. So we can go from shadow to highlight under the shoes. All right. Okay, so I want to start going in with my darker shades for this half that I've already laid down the warm grey to, just so that we can see it start to come a little bit more to life, because right now we don't really see much. All right, Nougat, yeah. Again, I'm coloring this a couple of days later. Actually, I've carried on coloring this because I was working yesterday. It was a long day at work, so I was so tired, so I didn't color in the evening, and so I'm picking this up the day after. So yeah, hopefully I remember how I did the wall, because I did finish that on the same day I recorded the portions that I showed you on camera. But you guys can see how long it actually takes me to do pages, right? And I haven't done any coloring in between. So this is the page I've been working on. Usually I jump between pages and whips, but because I am actually enjoying this page a lot, and because I wanted to get it out as a color along on the channel, yeah, I'm trying to work on this more rather than just keep jumping between whips. That's probably also why I don't get that many pages on, because I just have a few whips on the go and I just keep jumping between them, and then that just reduces the number of completed pages, because I'm just dividing my time between like a million pages. But I'm really enjoying this one actually. And now that I'm adding a few of my own touches to it, like these snow piles. I know it's something very small, but it makes it a little bit more exciting, because now I'm trying to see, okay, how is this going to look with all those snow piles? So I'm now quite motivated to finish it and see how it's going to look. Hopefully I haven't messed it up. The other thing I was thinking of, which I think we're not in shot, but you know, on the back wall there are those couple of sections that look like windows. In my mind I was thinking, oh, I could do like an indoor, like make it look like there's a Christmas tree indoor, so behind the windows, but I don't think I can actually draw the tree properly with decorations and things like that. So I might have to ignore that idea. But I don't know what to do with those windows at the back. If I don't get to it on this particular video that I put up and you guys have any ideas, yeah, just shoot, put it in the comments below. Maybe something I can do, but we'll see. Otherwise it'll just be blank windows, I think, because there's so much happening on the foreground. And then with all the paint pen work, like with snow falling and stuff, it will look quite busy as it is. So maybe we don't need anything in the windows behind. Just keep them as simple windows. So I haven't actually started Christmas shopping. We've never really done Christmas with Christmas gifts and stuff like that, but of course now that we have our son, to make it fun for him, yeah, we have to do it. And we enjoy putting up the Christmas tree and things like that. I gave him his first hot chocolate ever. I'm quite strict with his sugar intake, obviously it's natural with me being his mom, but I decided, okay, I'll make him a hot chocolate with marshmallows. First of all, he refused. He's like, no, I don't want that on top. I said, oh, it's sugar, it's sweet. He's never tried marshmallows. And he just refused. He's like, no, I don't need it, I don't want it. So I was like, okay. So I put some sprinkles in that he agreed to, and some cream on the top, and he had maybe a couple of sips of it, and he just, yeah, he was like, I'm done. He didn't really enjoy the hot chocolate. I don't know if it was too strong for him, too chocolatey for him, too sweet for him, because he's not used to having so much sugar. But he licked the cream off, the cream and the sprinkles. So yeah. So it's fun doing these little things for him. So yeah, I haven't started the Christmas shopping yet. We need to buy a couple of things for him to at least open. Nothing too big. His birthday comes in January as well, so yeah, so we have to think about that. So I'm still working from my shadow to my highlight areas. Have you guys done your shopping and all prepped up for Christmas? I know it's such a busy time. Planned what you're doing for Christmas? Are you staying home? Are you having people over? Let me know in the comments below. It'll be nice to see how everyone celebrates their Christmas. We'll be going to a family's home on Christmas Day, which is nice. So everyone sort of gets together and has a meal together. So that will be good. We might want to do a lunch or something on Christmas. I know, on New Year's at our place. Get a few people over, maybe my in-laws, and yeah, so we'll see. I'm working all the way up to Christmas. I have one day off, I think, between Christmas and New Year's, so yeah, I don't have that much free time. I've not taken like a big chunk of a holiday during December. It's actually quite busy at work, so yeah. All right, is that starting to look a little bit better? We can always add color, remember. Now these heaps of snow, I think we're going to add, shall we add a little bit of Nougat? I think so, but maybe not the darker shades. So just because we've drawn the outline of the heaps of snow in Nougat, let's try and mask those lines. But obviously I will probably just go in with my Posca, white Posca pen at the end and emphasize the snow. Yeah, here as well. So yeah, I think I'm going to work with this. We're going to darken up the shadow areas, and then I will see where I need to add color, if I want to add color, if I want to leave it a bit lighter, the pavement, just to differentiate from like the brick wall, which is a lot darker. Anywhere else? Oh yeah, we haven't done this bit. All right, just thinking how to do the square bit, because here I've created the heaps of snow, so I do have a little bit of shadow, which helps me put some color on this bit here. Maybe just randomly add some color. Okay. All right, have we put in the Nougat everywhere? I think so. I think we can go to the next one. So what did we use next? It was the Capuut mortum. Now I need to start being a little bit more careful with how much shadow I'm putting, right? Let me just see that. Yeah, okay, you guys can start seeing where the snow is going to be. So yeah, so Capuut mortum under the heaps of snow, because they would create a bit of a shadow. But like I said, we don't want, the light would be hitting a lot actually on the pavement. So a lot of it will be a highlight area. So it's only the areas which have some object on it or the snow on it which will have some shadows. Yeah, so we don't want to pull out these dark tones now too much. So up against the wall we can, and around the heap of snow. If you guys haven't already watched, I do have a how I color video on how I color snow, and I did share some different color combinations for it. If I remember, I'll try and put it in the description box below. It'll be really hard for me to remember because this is going to be a long video. By the time I actually upload it, well, you know, it's been a few days already coloring this part. But if I don't remember, just remind me in the comments below. If you're interested, I can always share the video. But yeah, so I shared some of my favorite color combinations for snow, and yeah, we'll have to think of which one to use. Maybe I'll show you that sheet where I did that how I color video, so we can maybe pick out one of those shades to use for these heaps of snow. It'll have to be one which is not too turquoisey, I don't think, unless we add a little bit of the turquoises in the baubles, if turquoise is going to work. But definitely not. Oh, maybe the purple tone will work if I want to bring in a bit of color. So maybe a purple tone snow. Okay, yeah, so I'll pull out that sheet when we're ready to color the snow heaps, and we'll see which color is going to work best. Okay. So I'm just going in with my Nougat a little bit. I didn't put some Nougat here, I don't think. The snow would be hitting where I'm applying a little bit of the Nougat now. So I'm just trying to think. I don't think I'm going to add the Capuut mortum on this side of the snow heap. Yeah, because if the light is hitting there, there wouldn't be much of a shadow. The shadows would be on the bottom and on this side of the snow heap. So yeah, I'm not going to add the Capuut mortum there. I'm not going to add Capuut mortum there, but I am going to add it below this heap of snow. So hopefully you guys can actually see from the way I'm doing my color along, the chatty color along, that I don't plan out my pages all the time. Very rarely will I, especially if it's a busy page, because it's hard to know what everything's going to be at the beginning. I don't think my mind works that way. So this will be a shadow. This is the little step. So we need to darken that up to create that effect of stepping down. Hopefully it works. So yeah, my mind doesn't work like that. Like I can't look at a page all the time. Very rarely it happens, but I can't look at a page and say, this is exactly what it's like, you know, I can see everything in color. That doesn't happen with me. I'll see certain elements and then I just have to work with that idea and try and figure out the rest. So yeah, I'm sure you guys can see that from this video, that I don't plan out each page from start to finish when I'm doing my color alongs. I just go with the flow. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I may make a mistake and I have to like correct it if it doesn't work properly or the way I wanted it to. So yeah, you just have to have fun, really. And right now I'm having fun trying to create these little heaps of snow that weren't there, and see if it's going to work. It is looking 3D, but so this area would be in shadow because this is the road, so we're off that step now. That part is fine. Did we do it here? Yeah, here we'd have a bit of a darker shade because of the heap and this where the light is coming from, and here maybe. Okay, and of course this step again. Yeah. All right. Shall we work with that? Okay. So that's the Capuut mortum. All right. Now, if I remember correctly, I went in with my Nougat again, just to tone down the reddishness of the Capuut mortum. I think people probably wonder, why did I put that layer and then I'm going and trying to cover it up? I'm not covering it up fully. I'm just putting a light layer to tone down. It does give a little bit more of an effect as an undertone. So even though I'm trying to cover up a little bit of the redness, it still gives a little something having the Capuut mortum there. So I'm just going over lightly where I've put the Capuut mortum again, just to tone down the redness. Because then I'll come in, was it with my warm grey 1? And then darken up the shadows with the 6, I think it was. All right, so you can see how long it's taking me, which is why I do parts off camera. Okay. All right, sorry, I was in silence for quite a lot. I forgot I was on camera. All right. Okay, so the next is the warm gray one. So the warm gray one is just basically to mute things down a bit. So literally just go over everything, and you can go into the highlight a little bit. It's a very subtle effect. You probably can't see it on the camera very much, but right. So yeah, hopefully it's taking shape, and then obviously we're going to use our darkest shadow just to tie in with the top, and then that's how the rest of the floor will be done. And then we just need to choose the color of our snow. So I might show you a few of the snow heaps here, and then I'll go off camera and finish off that half with the snow and the pavement. So literally just, I'm literally just going over everything. Like I said, it just mutes things down, going into the highlights a little bit, so it's not just the whites of the paper, not fully, unless you want it fully grey on as the pavement, so you can. I think that was snow, right? I think so. Can't even remember now. All right. Okay, let's do this. So we're going in with our warm grey 6. Now I have to be very careful with this because I don't want the pavement to be too dark, okay? But we do need to create the shadows sort of under the heaps of snow. Yeah. I think I'm just going to sharpen this ever so slightly. I know it's quite a pointed, I want it to be really sharp, so I'm not pressing too hard. So I just use the little Stedler sharpener, yeah? Sorry for the noise. Because I don't want to press too hard, I don't want it to be too dark. I want to keep a very light hand, and if it's sharp, the pencil is sharp, it helps to be able to color and lay down the color without having to put too much pressure. Okay, we're going to put a bit of a shadow just under the soldier. We want to make it look 3D, and hopefully that shows on camera how the effect is when you darken up your shadows. Here under this pile of snow, on this side of the snow, not on that side, because that's where the light would be hitting. Here the snow would create a tiny shadow just underneath it. So and the post box would create a very dark shadow. If we were really playing with light, a light source, we could actually create a shadow, a bigger shadow by the post box. But I don't think I'm not going to complicate things. But usually, maybe if, like I said, my light is coming from here, from this sort of an angle, you would sort of darken up this portion, you know, of your paper in sort of an angle, the same angle as the light, to create the shadow of the post box and also of the girls. So you could create a shadow coming from the girls, and that would look really nice with the light effect, even with the soldier and the Christmas tree. But I just feel like coloring. I don't feel like putting too much effort into figuring out the light source, and I do that on some pages. On some pages, I just ignore that aspect and just color. And I think that's what I feel like doing with this page. I don't want to make it too complicated with light and everything. But if you did want to, that's what you would keep in mind. It's such a large object, depending on where your light is coming from, you'd have quite a big shadow, yeah? But I'm just creating a tiny bit of shadow here to help with more the 3D effect rather than the light effects. Yeah, so there's a shadow there, and under the feet. Again, this is mainly to help with the 3D effect more than creating a shadow of the girl. All right, I think that's it on the top. You can always darken up, like I said, So if you feel your shadows are too light, if I've been too conservative, I can always go back over. All right, then we work on our step here. Definitely darken this up. With Eriy's line art, because it's not a dark black line art, you can actually color over her line art, so then you don't have to worry too much about covering them up in certain areas where the dark areas are. And it'll just pick up the color. Like for example, here I did all my blues and just went over the line art. So you could do that with her work, depending on what colors you're using. Obviously light yellow wouldn't work, for example. Hopefully that creates the 3D effect. I was trying to go for the step down. I'll have a look in a second on camera. Sometimes it's easier when you step away from your page, or you know, sort of stand up and look at your page to see the whole picture a bit better. Sometimes when you're very close to it, when you're coloring, it's hard to see how it exactly looks. So I do sometimes need to stand up, look at my page, walk away, come back, and then I see it better. Bit of a shadow from this heap here. Okay, and we've done the shadow under that heap. Let's do the shadow under this. Okay, then the heap here, we have a shadow on this side of it. Okay, and then this is the road, so we need to create our shadow to help with the 3D effect again. All right, have to have a look and see how this is looking. Okay. All right, let me stand up and have a look. I may have been too conservative with my colors, but you can see that that's good. So you can sort of see the 3D effect, so that's good. You can see, I think it does look like a step down, doesn't it? You can see that the heaps of snow are going to look 3D and pop up, which is good. I don't know if I've left too much light space, but I don't want to bring in too much of the dark color. Maybe if we go in a bit with the warm grey too, just to darken up some of the highlight areas, and then we can see if I need to add in any more of the darker shadows on the top bit, because I think it looks good here. All right, so I'm going in with my warm grey too, just over everything, and I'm going to come in and darken up some of the highlight areas so that it doesn't just look white. It might be looking a bit washed out on camera, and that's why I'm feeling that when I look at the camera, but just fill up a bit more color. So I'm bringing out the warm grey quite a lot into the highlight areas now. And I'm also going over my shadows, so if you feel that you need to darken up your shadows again, you can. I'm going to put a bit of warm grey here as well. Yeah. A bit of the warm grey here because a lot of it is just being left as the whites of the paper. Warm grey too, sorry. I like that I can't see an entire illustration in color before I start coloring it, because I like to play with my illustrations like this, just keep adding color to see what I like, what effects I prefer, and I like to see the page come to life as I'm putting down color, and then waiting to see what else I'm going to add and how it changes the page. And if I knew exactly what the page is going to look like before I've even colored it, I think I would struggle to be motivated to color the whole page, because I'd be like, okay, I already know what it's going to look like, and so I wouldn't be bothered to color it. So this, I think I like that I don't see it from the word go, because it just helps me stay motivated and want to keep adding color to it, to see how it's going to, you know, look at the end of the page. So yeah. Because like right now, I'm quite intrigued to see now what it's going to look like when I put the color into the heaps of snow. So that makes me feel inspired to now carry on coloring this page. You know what I mean? So that's why with repetitive elements, I struggle with mandalas. I struggle because once you know what color you're using, yes, it can be relaxed coloring sometimes. So it does work that way, but I struggle sometimes to stay motivated for that particular illustration if I know, you know, there's going to be a million leaves looking the same, for example, things like that. So yeah, I think I like it. I think once we start adding more color, we'll know whether we need to add more to the floor, if the floor is too light compared to everything else around it. But we don't want the floor to take away, the pavement to take away from everything else. So shall we leave it at that for the pavement? I'm just going to darken up my shadows a bit here. I think I'm going to leave it at that for the pavement, and then we can always see whether we need to bring out a bit more of the darker shades into the highlight areas. I don't think I will need to, but we'll see. Once we add more color, it might look a bit plain. The floor, the pavement. Just darkening up some of the shadows. So you could always do that if you wanted. Once that's why it's like the number of layers I keep going in with, that's why it's really important to not use use a light touch, so that you can keep adding to your page if you needed to, if that's the kind of coloring you like, guys. Doesn't have to be, but yeah, it helps to have a light touch. I think naturally I have a heavy touch, so I have to actually concentrate on making sure that a certain element, I'm not 100% sure what it's going to look like, and I'm going to probably need to keep adding layers until I'm happy with it. Then I make sure that I'm light-handed up until the end, until I'm certain, okay, I'm done now. But right now, I think I'm just now messing around, so I should probably just stop and move on to a different element for you guys. So that's what I'm going to do. But I think I'm liking how that's looking. Yeah, and then once all of it is done, that should look good, right? Hopefully. All right, now the snow. Let me bring out my if I remember where I put it, my little sheet of the snow colors, and see which one will look good on this particular page. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so this is my snow and ice color combinations. I've done how I color video on this, and I want to share this template with you guys. I don't know how to share documents yet, so if anyone knows, let me know and I will try and figure out how to share these templates with you guys if you guys wanted them. So I created this myself. So these were the few color combinations I shared that are probably my most go-to. I know I'm very zoomed in. Sorry. Okay, let's leave it at that. At least you can see, yeah, there you go. You can see at least 6 of them, yeah? All of them, sorry. So these are the most common color combinations that I use. Now, looking at our page, I definitely know that I'm not going to use this color. Even if I might use it on some accents, some turquoises, I don't think it's going to work with the snow. So I'm not going to use that color, the very turquoisey one, and I'm not going to use that turquoisey one either. I want something a bit more subtle because it's just a few snow piles. I don't want it to be too, it's not like a landscape or anything. I don't want it to be too obvious. So what I thought, as soon as I looked at this, I think this is still a little bit more intense than I probably want. I think I want it to be very subtle. So I was thinking between this one and this one. All right. This one is a little bit more purpley. And here I've used the purple, but I've toned it down, coloring over with a gray, a cool gray. So I muted the purple a little bit. I don't know if you can see it properly on this particular video, but hopefully you can see a little bit more purple effect on that. Again, I might use a little bit of purple on my page when I come in to put purple, but I think the snow, I just want, because there's so much blue, I want to keep it simple blue. And I think I'm inclined towards just going for the simple snow to make it look a little bit more white than anything, and make it look fluffy and light and soft. And so I'm thinking I'm just going to go for the simple color combination here, which is light ultramarine, sky blue, a bit of ivory. I like to put that in my snow, and white. Okay, so I think that might work. And yeah, so that's what we're going to go with. And as soon as I looked at it, I think that was what my mind was inclined to. So I pulled out the pencil straight away. And then if I need to darken it up a little bit, I might use a different color. So we'll see, because these are quite light shades. So let's go in and do some of these snow piles so that we know what we're doing for the rest of the page. And then I'll go and do it off camera and be back with you guys again, okay? So I'm going to start. The thing is, what I have to remember is some of these snow piles, I'm actually going to use Posca to make it look like a pile. So cover up a little bit of the base of the soldier and a bit of the base of the post box over there. So I have to try and remember that I'm going to be doing that. So some of the shadows will not look like where they should be. All right. So for example, let's start here. I think these will be easier. We know that we have a step here, and we, just like we did a shadow with the pavement color, we're going to have a shadow for the snow as well. So there'll be, this part will be in shadow. So that's where I start coloring with my light ultramarine. Yeah, and I'm just putting a little bit of color because ultimately snow is white, but we just want to put a bit of hints of blue to just help make it a bit more interesting. Obviously it would reflect snow would reflect the colors around it, so you can put other colors if you want. You can see how you feel. I'm keeping it simple right now until I know what other colors I'm actually going to be putting. So here the snow is falling, but then here it's sort of on the ground. So it's fallen, but on the ground. So I would think there should be a bit of a shadow here. So put some blue there. You can put some blue on this aspect of the falling snow. And then a little bit, you know, hints of it. Yeah. So same thing here. We're going to definitely have a shadow here. Okay, to help with that effect of the stair. I'm just trying to picture whether this is going to be a heap or it's flat on the ground. I think it's going to be flat on the ground, so let us just put, I don't know how it's going to look when I actually use the white Posca and stuff, but let's just put a bit of color there. Okay, random. Okay, and then just a bit of color on this little snow and a bit of a shadow here because this one is just on the side of the road. It's not going to be a heap. And then here, am I going to do a heap? I'm going to do a heap. I'm going to make it look like there is snow sort of in that corner. But I can put a bit of a blue hint on this side, okay? Again, it'll look so much better when I come and do the paint pen work, but until I've put all my color everywhere, it's hard to do that. But let's see. So here I was thinking that I was going to have a pile of snow. Pile of snow, maybe a bit of blue here. Okay, so I'm just adding hints of color to our snow. And then you can do, again, because there's not much shadow in these areas, so it's just to create a bit of interest, basically. So you can just add it wherever you want. Don't cover the entire pile of snow in blue, though, okay? Again, I'm thinking whether there'll be a little heap there, but we can still add some blue on this side. And then once you do the paint pen work and you need to add some blue back, you can. Because you can color over the paint pens, depending on which ones you use. Or Winsor & Newton white ink, for example, you can color over it. All right, and then here we're going to have a bit of a shadow, so we can put some of the blue there. And there we go. I think that's okay. Yeah, very light. And then we're going in with our shadow color, which is also not very dark, but that's our ultramarine, okay? So that's going to be here for sure. Here. A bit over the light ultramarine in parts. Don't cover the entire ultramarine. Okay, just add a little bit of the darker shade, the ultramarine, a little bit in that corner. So I'm obviously going to have to cover that up somehow. Okay, we'll see how to do that, but right now let me just carry on with this. Very, very light-handed. This is snow. We don't want it to look blue. It's not water. Literally adding just hints of color. All right. We'll see how we bring in our paint pen work. There we go. Okay, then I'm going in with my sky blue, and I think we're going to just go over all of our blues to blend it and just come a little bit into the highlight. We don't want to lose the whites, so be careful in the areas where we have small areas of snow. Yeah, again, quite light-handed. All right, almost done. Even though it's probably quite slow coloring, it's fast for me. Like, I normally don't just color this fast. I do like to take my time and enjoy my process of coloring, the session of coloring. All right, then make sure I'm going in with now my ivory. I want to make sure that it is clean. So I'm just testing it on a paper. We don't want to bring any random dark colors into our snow. So in certain areas of highlight, I'm just going to add hints of the ivory, sorry. Yeah, it just gives it a bit of interest, I feel. I like it. I like adding the little bits of ivory. Not too much. Again, we don't want the snow to look cream or ivory. So just a little bit of it. All right. If it's too the areas are too small, then don't add it onto those areas. And then I'm just going to go in with white and smooth out the highlight sort of areas. So the light blues that are going into the white areas. You can go over the other areas if you want. If you think it doesn't look smooth enough, you can just basically use it for blending and smoothing everything out, yeah? So in my snow, I'd rather not see pencil strokes, so I'd rather make it look quite smooth. So I do tend to go over all of the blue. Yeah. I think it looks good. It doesn't look complete without the proper heaps and the paint pens, because you can obviously see the slime here. So we'll need to see how it looks once we put the paint pen, and whether we need to color over it a little bit. We might do. Maybe I should have covered up the lines a bit. Obviously, I hadn't planned this idea beforehand. Like, it just came to my mind while I was coloring. So it wasn't planned that I should cover over the lines. But we'll see how the paint pens work at the end. All right, so let me stand up and have a look. I like that. Yeah, I think it adds something. I do like it. And then with falling snow, and then when we use the paint pens, I'm going to do a lot of snow sort of gathered on certain elements. And so maybe that will really, really bring it all together. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, you guys have seen how long it takes me to actually do just that portion. So in real time, so what I'm going to do is it's exactly the same process, but I'm going to go and do this side now, okay? And I'll be back with you guys. So don't go anywhere. It'll be a second for you guys, maybe a few days for me, but I'll be back with you guys again soon. So I'm going to go off and do that and meet you back here. All right. Okay guys, so that's the pavement done and the snow. So you'll have seen the screenshot of how I've completed that, and I have done a little bit of white paint pen work just to sort of help me visualize where the snow is heaping up onto certain objects on this side of the page. So I thought I would do that on this side as well, because obviously, for example, here on the pavement, I've whited it out and you can see it a little bit better. So I'm going to do it on this side as well, just to show you how I did it, how I was planning it out, and just so that we can visualize it better, at least in certain areas where we're going to go and color it in, and it'll help with the shadows as well. So I used the Uni Posca 1M in white, and that's what I used to do the bottom. So I'm going to zoom in like earlier so you can see a bit better, and we'll do the whiting out in certain areas. I'm not putting in the full effect that I'm going to use for the snow, but just for the heaped part of the snow and to cover up the black lines underneath the snow in these areas so that it looks like snow. All right, so let me zoom in and we can complete that off. Okay, so you can just see it's very subtle actually, but areas where I have covered up the black lines sort of on this step, and I've just added a little bit of heaping in certain areas. So that's basically what I'm going to do on this side. All right, so yeah, just activate your pen, and then you have to make sure that if you are going over any of the colored bits that you wipe off your white pen if you're using the Albrecht Dürers, because it will pick up the color of the color we go over, right? Because they're watercolor pencils. So just make sure that if you do go over any dark pencils, you clean it off. Otherwise you'll pick up that color and you'll transfer it to the snow, which should be white. Yeah. I'm going to exaggerate the white later when I come to do my embellishments, but for now, yeah, we need to cover up some of these lines just to help us visualize that it is snow a bit more. So you may also find that you just need to go over with a little bit of blue again in certain areas. Okay, so here the snow is there, so we need to just cover up those lines there. Yeah, so hopefully that helps make it look a bit better, but we can go over if we need to certain areas. Here, I want the snow to look like it's sort of collected in the corner, because it's a little corner there. So I may add a bit of blue to create the shadow of the post box on that side, and you can add a little bit. And I think this I'll do later if I need to add any more effects, but you can just with the Posca add a little bit of the white areas as well, just to see some scattered snow, not so perfect snow. Yeah. Here my plan was to go over, so how is it going to look? Well, let's go over the wall here first, because that was what I was thinking. So first we need to cover up that line. Okay, and we can just put a little bit of heaping. Yeah. Just making sure my Posca is clean every now and then. And here as well, we can just if you feel like the shapes that we've made are too perfect, again, you can just use your white Posca to change it up a little bit. Yeah. All right, and I think over here, I think definitely part of the base, at least, of the soldier. I'm just trying to think whether, yeah, I think that's fine. So not onto the post box as such, but just to make it not look so perfect, we can just sort of add little heaps like that. Yeah. I think that looks okay, doesn't it? So does that help a little bit by covering up those lines? Yeah, I think that helps, doesn't it? And just creating a little bit of the heaps, I mean, the little Posca effects, just sort of makes it look like snow has actually gathered and it's just not puddles of something I'm trying to make look like snow. Yeah, it's a bit messy here. All right. See, maybe I will add a bit of scatters of snow here and there, but I'll see about that later. All right, I think I like that. I think I like that we've added the snow there. What do you guys think? Hopefully you like it too. Yeah, I quite like that. Good. So that's where we're at. All right, guys. So I think what I'll do is I'm just going to zoom out. I think I'm liking how that looks, and I love that we've added those little heaps of snow. It just breaks up all of that empty space of the pavement, just adds a little bit of something. And now I think we need to start adding some color, don't you? There's not that much color. Like, you guys know me, and I like color. I want to try and keep it quite limited because I want to use cool tones and majority of blues, I think, from what I feel looking at this page now. So I don't think I want to add like dark reds on this particular page. I don't think I'm going to try and not use reds. I don't think I want any reds on here. So I'm going to have to think about the colors that we're going to add on. But yeah, I've done these videos. I mean, this particular part of videos, this part of the color along in little bursts of time that I had. So I don't actually know how long it is, but in my mind, I think it's taken me absolutely ages to do this, and it might be a good spot to just stop and leave it at this, so that I can upload it for you guys. So you guys can, if you are following along, carry on with the page, so it doesn't take too long for you to get the next part, the second part, and then I can start working on recording the rest of it. Now, hopefully, I can do it all in one more part. Adding all the color. Hopefully, I'm quite excited about this page. I really like how it's looking, and I hope you guys like how it's looking too. So yeah, I think I'll leave it at this, guys, for part 2, and I'll be back with you for part 3. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying this this type of color along, and I hope you don't mind that it's in parts. Let me know. All right, guys, I will be back with you on part 3. So until then, take care. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.